What are your thoughts on a Lucid? Do you still think they will be around in 5 to 10 years? I certainly hope so. I really think that they make some of the best looking EVs on the market today. I sort of prefer the design of Lucid over Tesla, to be honest, even though the Lucid also looks like it could be, a random Chinese company. But that's what happens when you don't have a history of design DNA to fall back on when you're designing new cars. So we have some news from Lucid, and more specifically, the pricing for the new SUV Gravity. So we're gonna have a look at this design. I think it's a decent looking design. Definitely has a Lucid, from the sedan design language implemented in an SUV, from a front, side, and rear, and also the interior with the massive screens, obviously. That's just what we get these days. But before we jump into Photoshop, let's have a look at this article from Car Scoops. I'm going to link it down in the description. Lucid starts Gravity SUV production with 800 horsepower, 440-mile range, and a $95,000 price. There will be a more affordable Gravity Touring, though, later next year. And that one is going to cost you just under $80,000. So production of Gravity began on December 5th. Hey, they started on my birthday with a top tier model offering over 800 horsepower and a range of more than 440 miles. It's going to be interesting to see if it's actually 440 miles or if that's just, a calculated computer range, or if it's a real world range. If it is 440 miles, that is definitely fantastic. I do know that the sedan has a great range in real life, so I wouldn't be surprised. So the company started accepting orders on November 7th, and current owners will be given priority to this. Makes sense? So today marks an exciting milestone for our company. Production of the Lucid Gravity is now underway at our factory in Arizona, the company said in a post on X. This milestone is a celebration of hard work by our passionate and dedicated team to bring this groundbreaking SUV to life. And as I said, I do hope this is a company that will survive. I think the level of quality, when I look at just the design DNA, feels like a company that's been around for a lot longer than Lucid actually has. So with the production now underway, the next big question is when the first deliveries will take place. Lucid has no specific date for this. So we're going to have to update you on that. That is sort of where usually, the bottleneck is going to happen is you can start the production, but then when are you actually going to deliver these cars? Are you going to have any problems on the way, which I suspect they are going to have to some degree. So the company has previously revealed the model will be offered with an adjustable air suspension and 20 or 23-inch wheels. This is a pretty big SUV. I think they called it an SUV, but honestly, it kind of looks like a minivan to me. But these are not the 23. These are probably the 20s or something like that. I would definitely go with the 23s. You know why? We need to fill out the wheelhouses properly. So you can expect a 0 to 60 time in about less than 3.5 seconds. For a massive vehicle like this. And the towing capacity of up to 6,000 pounds. I'm not sure how that is going to affect the range. Probably a lot. So you have the minimalist interior focusing on screens as drivers are greeted by a sizable curved display as well as a dedicated infotainment system. They're joined by a 2-spoke steering wheel and seating for up to 7. Now this is a massive screen here on the dash. Have I been in a Lucid? I don't think I've been in a Lucid yet, but I wonder if this screen sort of sticks out over the hood here and intrudes a little bit on the visibility. I'm not sure, but it looks pretty decent. I mean, the interiors of Lucid feel like they have maybe a bit of a higher quality than Tesla, at least, the pre-Model 3, for example. I know that you can't really compare this to a Model 3, but you get what I'm saying. It just feels a little bit more effort into the design of the interiors of Lucid compared to Tesla's. So an assortment of options will be available, including heated, ventilated, and massaging front seats, a 22-speaker premium audio system, and a 4-zone climate control system. The front can even be equipped with a seat that can accommodate the 2 adults, so you have a place to relax while your kids play soccer, of all sports. I said this when I first moved to the United States in 2012, that we call it football, of course, in Europe, but soccer is going to be a big, it's on the rise. It's going to be a big sport in the United States. And now we even have soccer right here in an article from Car Scoop instead of football or something like that. So learn more, we can learn more when the configurator is launched next month about the spec and tech of this thing. But looking at this design, I do think it looks decent. It's a clean fluid. It shouldn't be called Lucid. It should be called Fluid, this carbon, because that is what I think of this design. So let's jump into Photoshop here. Let's have a look at this SUV, all electric, 440 miles, 800 horsepower, beast of an EV. So up top, we do have the front view. This is what I like about Lucid, because they have a very strong brand identity, even if they come out with new cars now, similar to what Rivian has. But if you compare, this is the complete opposite to what Rivian is doing with their designs, because this is the design that I prefer. This is a much more emotional, fluid, automotive design with beautiful curvature. Look at the surfaces here in the front end, how fluid everything is. Everything has a nice flow to it and nice, clean line flow as well. We have this line inside coming in here. You see that they had a connection right here in the front end. Nice looking side intakes here, air curtains. I do believe these are open. Very thin headlights as we're used to seeing from Lucid. But this, compare this to the face of a Rivian. And Rivian is a lot more product designy, of course, than the Lucid. Now looking at the side view here, and as I said, this is, I guess, categorized as an SUV, but this looks like a minivan to me. The proportions of the A-pillar, how far the A-pillar sticks forward. You can see if we draw a line straight down here, it goes even in front of the front tire, and that is a very stretched forward A-pillar. But the reason being, just look at how much space you get inside of this car. All of this is just pure greenhouse. So you have a lot of space in here. We still have the beautiful line flow here with this line in the bottom. You can see how it goes in. It has a connection right here in the front end. Cuts through the axles and then also has a nice connection right there in the rear. That is what I want to see in car designs today. Just a nice one single line that wraps around all around the car. Another detail that I like about this design is the floating roof design, meaning that we do have a separated section here of black trim separating the roof up here from the rest of the body. And this looks to be a two-tone color, so it looks like that's an option. You can have the roof be black and the rest of the body be something else. These has to be the 23-inch wheels. And I do like the wheel design here. Even if it has 440 miles of range, probably a little less with the 23s, but they didn't go with this, plate design, like you just cover everything up on the wheel. It looks so ugly, and a lot of EVs are doing that today. These look like a more traditional looking spoke designs, and I appreciate that by Lucid. Looking at the rear end, this is, as usual, I would say, going to be my favorite view for this vehicle. I do love this taillight section. It just has this fluid motion to it all around the car, and I also like this graphic that we have curving around the key features in the rear and just creating a nice housing, making it feel, pretty welcomed in the rear end with the taillights right there. Here you can see more of this floating roof design with this section being blacked out, and we have in this case the same color for the roof that we have on the rest of the body, and this line flow again coming back down here. And look at the reflections in this body. This has sort of Mazda style to me, Kodo design language. Little bit of that going on here with Lucid. No exhaust pipes, obviously, even though, would be cool to see some exhaust pipes on this, or maybe not on every single EV. We don't need to have exhaust pipes. Now, last but not least, looking at the interior, let me know what you think about this interior. Is it too much screen for you? For me, it definitely is, but I do think, yes, look at this. Lucid actually has physical buttons for the climate settings down here. This looks to be fan speed up and down. And here you can see it says temp here up and down. Yeah, perfect. This is great. When we also have a separated screen here for the infotainment screen that is not part of the, or is it? I mean, the whole thing can't be this entire screen just can't be the full gauge cluster for this vehicle. It's just way too big. So I think we have probably, I sound like I should know this, but I don't because I haven't been in a Lucid yet. But it looks like this is a sort of a separated infotainment screen compared to this one. So we have two infotainment screens in the Lucid, which is pretty cool to see. It's still a lot of screens. You can see how the dash wraps around here, some ambient lighting going here in Mercedes style. But the overall quality, when I look at the pictures of Lucid, not sure how it's going to hold up over the years, over the decades even. But just looking at the images here, it feels like a very well-built vehicle. Love the steering wheel. It feels very cool. You have some touch buttons here on each side as well. So again, I really hope the Lucid is going to make it because, as I said, I think this is one of the better looking EVs on the market today. And this SUV, as they call it, I would probably call it a minibus instead, or minivan. Still looks pretty good, and they definitely have the Lucid identity in here. Now we're just going to have to wait and see if Lucid can actually start to deliver these things.